cast this for casting war crime in most situations. But when you become powerful enough in a tier 1 map, or if you just are using Brimstone Rain and Silver Dreams you'll have enough negative physical res to not even have to cast this in a lot of cases, but this will massively increase your damage. So this is also, of course, one of the 15% synergies as well. So no matter what, you're going to want to max out these two. Maxing out this is a good idea, which is the other 15% synergy should also be maxed out at some point. Of course, if you're not maxing out all these, and especially if you're tracking actions, it's missed out of the area, you're going to want to max out. Max it out, but you're going to want to get the points into find item, usually via your skills. You're going to want to find out your soft points and your skills will allow you to reach a very high percent chance to use find item to work an additional item. Elite monsters and council members and things of that nature. Once you get all those soft points in there, if you have a lot of soft points, what ends up happening is the percent chance gets high enough to where if you put additional points into there, only like 1% of the so then you can have more effective hard points that might push instead, so that you can items effectively. So yeah, you're gonna want to points in find potion. You come under find item. Let the soft points carry find item as long as you have enough of them.
Not enough mana.
If not, you might want to level this up a few times with a few hard points in there. And then just put
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
points in the find potion and then get it for about 50% find item. That's usually the goal. You can even get higher than 60. Higher than that if you're using hardware, which you get up to 7 to find item, which is really cool. And so, once again, you can get a lot of soft points in the find item. It's enough to where if you put hard points in place, you can get some really high chance to get an additional item. As you find gold find in the case of travel, you can get very rich using that method. This build doesn't even have find item at all because it is a dry mapping build with a ton of damage, and so our main goal here is just smash them out as fast as possible. Of course, find item will slow you down. It's seriously that cool. So we need as many synergies as possible. We're just trying to max out the damage. Alright, so let's go over here.
I need mana.
Edgy makeup, spooky candles. Daddy issues? Not long ago, I too used to summon the supernatural. Like a total loser. Now I play Raid, where I can summon hundreds of champions. Any monsters. Special one. Calm down,
Not
everyone.
enough mana.
He's just a 60k HP, 2% critical rate meat shield. At best.
Here is your Halloween treat. Use this promo code to find out which spooky champion did you get.
Mercenary build. Mercenary build is Defiance or a mercenary that is the actual offensive provides you on top of shout, which makes it really hard for monsters to hit you on top of the damage reduction. The best weapon on this build is have like max light res, you can survive ad hoc fairly well. But in general, these are all good stats. And F is good because you'll be killing a lot of monsters. And of course, make sure we have more resistance, more attack speed. We're actually hitting the 140 attack speed breakpoint with a thresher on this character, which means he's attacking as fast as possible, which means that to amplify damage on striking is proccing literally as often as possible. And that's really the key on this first phase, the big goal, and then keeping life. Alright. So, before we get into this video, let's kind of explain the journey of this build just a little bit. So, we had a good time with this basically starting out with this so we started out with Frenzy. Frenzy did great for us and worked our way up, able to push through Hell, except through Hell Ancients. And then we just started farming Travancore, but really primitive.
Hello.
Birthright building.
Good day.
I can't.
stats on the helmet. We got double Hodo eventually, and just made sure to maintain that 105 FCR. And we were just getting stronger and stronger to the point where the Mercenary wasn't even the strongest source of damage, but our War Cry was. And by the time we finished Shroud, we were rich enough to trade for a mapping build, and we stopped ourselves some contract and ended up with some really insane gear at some point, which we can now show off now. So, to show off this build's gear, remember, keep in mind this is a hardcore Warcraft variant, but of course we'll be going over weapon options. So there's a lot of different weapon options on this character. Your best options are things like need less skills and a 60 pass rate, Rex, even the Sage, to get more additional life and even all extremely multiple stats. Very helpful items. And for using damage, things like Grandfather's 5 to Word Rise is no joke. As a matter of fact, this is even get up to 20 faster cast rate on weapons as a corruption. This is not a weapon able to fight yet. It's pretty different things of that caliber sometimes. Look, this corruption, especially if you have your Grandfather, it's amazing. You get a 5 Warcry Grandfather with 20 faster cast rate, maybe puzzle box it for 3 or 4 sockets. We'll have an extremely good weapon in our hands. And of course, you could even use 2 of them if you're not using a shield, just like the Hodos. Yeah, this could be your main weapons, and you could have a lot of faster cast rate, and you could have even more insane amounts of damage. Of course, you can also put things like Surrunes in them for mana per kill, life per kill, and sustain better as well. So there's a lot of really good options for weapons. Another very prominent option, which I personally like, because in a lot of cases you can just destroy monsters even without first casting Battle Cry with Brimstone Raid. That's because Brimstone Raid has a ton of cast rate, has a decent amount of plus skills, and it'll give you up to -15 enemy Fizz Res off the bat. So Brimstone Raid, double Hodo, and double Grandfather are all the most prominent softcore options. For hardcore, you can go 1 Grandfather, 1 Hodo. Of course, you can also still do something like 2 Grandfathers in hardcore, but you're gonna have to get you're gonna definitely have to get the curse duration reduction probably on hardcore. I don't trust no shield on hardcore when you jump in the middle of monsters, but archers can probably just gun you down if you're able to get cursed. So you want to make sure you probably don't get cursed if you do that approach, including if you're going for 200 faster cast rate, which can lower your base damage but increase your overall DPS in some cases. One thing to keep in mind though is that some of these weapon choices, or even going for 200 FCR, might have a weakness in that you're still kind of limited by your teleport charges and your leap speed. So to some extent, it's not quite as sorceress in terms of just like more FCR, more DPS. It's not quite that simple. So getting just a high amount of damage and a high amount of negative Fizz Res is really maybe oftentimes the most solid approach, especially on hardcore, because if you're going for max curse duration reduction, you might have to use like Crown of Ages, and you really might have to nuke a lot of your plus skills. So there is a lot of a give and take there, and with the gear, there's definitely a lot of different choices. When it comes to mapping, there's nothing that's a more best in slot than Enigma. For Travancore, I used Wealth in the beginning. Very simple, just Lemco tier, tons of gold find, 100% magic find. I never even found Scolders even once this season. So found, or even after I got my gear and mapping, so but Scolders is also an amazing choice. A lot of really good choices if you're doing just Travancore or otherwise, but for mapping, Enigma is unmatched. Really want the teleport that teleports the mercenary with you. And that's really a key here, because the mercenary provides the amplified damage if he teleports with you, then he procs the amp immediately and you crush the monsters. With a combination of both amp and battle cry, The monsters just get absolutely flattened. No matter how much health they have or how strong they are, and it can even effectively destroy fortified maps. So that is definitely something to take into account here. Okay, so you're definitely going to want to take a look at that, and that's definitely something you're going to want to do. But at any rate, we might even demo some fortified as well, just to show you guys that he is very capable of dealing with that. As a matter of fact, because of like the limited AoE, in some cases you can argue fortified might actually be pretty solid. However, he also deals with insanely large amounts of density extremely well too, so kind of do either one. At any rate, so you have Enigma here. Of course, fortified maps, if you guys don't know what those are in Season 6, that's a way to make the maps a lot harder and stronger with less density, but with like double loot and double experience, so that's really cool. Alright, and of course, we have a lot of that there, and so yeah, you just really want that teleport. And of course, the other stats on Enigma are also extremely helpful, including the plus skills. The strength, which bugs itself on and provides strength for Storm Shield. So overall, at least in this case of this build, is very solid, even more so. But on any version of this build, Enigma is probably going to be your best in slot. Really want to be able to bring that Merc with you and absolutely smash the monsters in the vicinity. Alright, now helms. There's a lot of choices for helms. You don't need anything this fancy, so this is a bricked IK helm. So I found an IK helm in traffic on day 3, and soon I still sell a self-nut. I was using the gear that I found. And I bricked an IK helm. I made this, I puzzle pieced it with 2 sockets. And eventually, of course, I found a champ in traffic pool and put it in there as well. Originally, I think this one just had like 2 perfect tokens. We were using cannot be frozen boots. I think we were just using a random passage or something. But this was, yeah, this is an insane item for sure. This is free leap, so I save 3 skill points with that. I get 5 skills, and I get my cannot be frozen, and I even have another socket to put in whatever I want, like a jaw or an ist, depending on if I want to be tanky or have more MF. Corruption wasn't very impressive on it, the actual corruption it got when it bricked, because you get a free corruption now on a bricked item. That being said, it honestly didn't need it, so it's actually kind of crazy how even in Season 5, even without that corruption there, this brick would have been pretty insane. Heck, even for double throw, this helm would have been insane. Now, I never used it for that, but yeah, it's got 5 double throw, it even has AR minimum damage as well. So, this helm is kind of nutty. Also looks really cool as well. Definitely look like a boss at this. If for some reason we end up mirroring it, we can make it a really cool color maybe at some point. Just for fun. I don't know if it's really worth a mirror. You can argue one way or the other, but it's pretty sick, so maybe it is. At any rate, amulets, there's definitely a lot of different options for amulets. However, we've definitely found this kind of early on. We had like Barb, MF Amulet. In general, Barb skills, FCR, those are going to be your best bets. This is best in slot in terms of number of plus skills. So this is just a damage reinforcing amulet, which is really, really good. Definitely going to feel those damage increases, especially with as fast as you cast Warcry. You feel small damage increases quite a bit, actually. Especially with all the negative enemy res you have as well between Battlecry and Amp. So hitting plus skills is very, very nice. One thing I should note with the helm, of course, as well as in addition to the amulet, you can use simple things like Mars as well. Plus 3 Warcry amulets. These are all going to be solid. For the helm, the IK helm was a very good starter. Very, very good indeed. You can eventually make a 5 Warcry Delirium pretty easily. A 3 socket Warcry helm can work pretty well. Delirium, of course, is never going to be quite as good as this, but definitely gets you to that damage level, which is really nice. Even gives you the MF for good measure. But this one also has no cannot be frozen, no free leap points, but yeah, I mean, it does pretty much everything else. And then, of course, you can even get up to 6 skills with the blue helm. That is definitely possible. So it's even possible to get more damage. Another very nice helm would be Halliburton's Rain. Halliburton's Rain will give you a lot of points in a battle cry for negative res. It'll give you 2 skills for the main skill, which is War Cry. It'll also give you a lot of damage reduction. Damage reduction would be very good for hardcore. If you're going Curse Immunity, most of the time you're probably going to have to go Crowned Ages, though, which you can definitely get a plus skill on that with the Corruption, but it's definitely going to hurt your damage a bit, at least your raw damage. But it will make going 200 FCR feel a lot better if you do happen to go for that approach. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, so this is something that's totally optional, but if you are using a shield on this character, your best options are to make yourself really tanky. You really caps your that sustain and making it to where when monsters hit you, you just don't feel it very much, which is good, so you're not constantly downing potions. Believe it or not, a really tanky approach feels even good on softcore because you're just not taking damage very often. Or not a lot of it, which is really good. So you're minimizing your potion use and otherwise. Your 2 best options for a shield period, though, would be Spirit Ward or Storm Shield. Those are the shields that are going to give you a lot of defense, a lot of block. Yeah, the block rate. Spirit Ward has res and DR. Storm Shield has the insane amount of DR. And Spirit Ward can give you plus 2 skills. So that's really nice. Plus 2 Barbarian skills as long as you get a Barb Spirit Ward. I just ended up going for 50% DR because it feels really good, especially in high physical damage maps. So yeah, these are definitely things you're definitely going to want to look into there. Yeah, it just feels really good in general. Alright, so this is if you're going a shield. We already talked about various weapon combinations if you're going 2 weapons and otherwise. So I think we're good there. For bow, or just for pre-buff, you can use Grandfathers. What I used most of the time when I was using Find Item was 2 Blades of Alibaba. And to stack your Gold Find or Magic Find. In my case, I went Magic Find, a lot more heavier on the Magic Find, but you can definitely stack Lemurings for Gold Find, and then have an absurd amount of Gold Find as well. So, I definitely went for the pushing 600 Magic Find on a Hork approach, which was very effective actually for finding all kinds of extremely good items in Hork, like Maras and all kinds of cool stuff. So then, in order to get 100 to 5 FCR in my particular build, with the shield and whatnot, make sure to get an FCR Cultist. FCR Cultist is very hard to get, especially in hardcore. It's definitely a difficult one. I'm surprised I was able to find it, honestly. The reduced curse duration, it's also good because there's fewer windows when you're taking even more damage. I don't have max curse duration reduction on this build, but this would be mandatory if you were going max curse duration. Cultist and Crown of Ages are pretty much the combo that really make that easy to do. You don't necessarily need Crown of Ages, there's other ways to get max curse duration on top of this, but you would need it on pretty much every other piece of gear, which would be hard to do, especially with Enigma and other things that maybe can't curse duration reduction. So, in general, this is actually probably going to be your best approach overall, especially if you're plus skills in this one. So we have 30% faster gas rate. We have a lot of mana too, which is great, and of course curse duration reduction. In terms of FCR gloves and in terms of hitting your breakpoints, I don't really think there's a better option than Cultist on this build. But you know, things like Train Gloves and H-Fist, which I use temporarily, also work very well. One thing I should note about the Storm Shield is that it has a block rate approach. Allows us to hit the 48 breakpoint, or the 42 breakpoint, I think it is, from Barbarian. That's 42. And all I know is that it does hit another breakpoint, so 35 is 27. And then
I need money.
endurance, and you will indeed be able to hit that without any issue. Alright,
Stay
So-
a while and listen.
what we have here is we got our block rate. It's really good. It's really good for us spawning. Remember, you're not going to be putting a hit recovery most of the time. We'll be putting a block recovery. So recovering faster means you're able to do damage more fluidly and able to just use things in general. This would be the same for like any kind of Nova character. If you're going block, you really want to make sure you have a lot of faster block rate. I've said the same in the Poison Nova Necromancer video as well from a previous season. The same applies here as well. The rest of this is faster cast rate. Depending on how much faster cast rate you have elsewhere, depending on if you're going for the 105 or 200 breakpoint, you want to use plus skill rings. Plus skill ring with 10 SDR would also be insane. Obviously, those are really solid 20 FCR ring down here. Got a very solid 10 FCR ring with sustain. Mana per kill and lives per kill are your best sources of sustain. I don't actually have as many of that, as much of that as I might want to. If you don't want to use any potions at all, though, you can use like Silkweeds with life per kill corruption, get life per kill elsewhere. Use the Grandfather, like I said, if you get the 20 to your Grandfather, get sockets in it, use Sir Runes for life per kill, get some mana per kill as well, and then you'll pretty much never have to use potions. I didn't focus so much on sustain. I was more interested in making sure I had a lot of magic find in the case of these boots, which is a bountiful craft, which is kind of cool. And just making sure I had stacked res, magic find. My mana sustain is actually pretty solid. I definitely do have to use some health potions, and you'd have to use juice anyway sometimes, but at any rate, most of the time it'll be pretty good. So an Arachnid's Mesh just gives you the skill. It's the only way to get the skill in this build. Faster cast rate. I think it's probably going to be your best option almost all the time. And I got one with physical damage reduction, which is really nice. Of course, we have one with MF here as well. If you want to counter negative faster cast rate on this build, one really good way to do that is with Suicide Branch, so that you can have even more cast rate, so a map with negative cast rate won't put you down to the next frame like 63. It also helps the counter decrepify in maps that have decrepify as well. So really good stuff in general. As you can see, we have a lot of very good swap outs. I can swap out from RMF, and in general, there's also other good jewelry choices as well that we've had or used recently in the past, and very good stuff in general. And of course, this we can swap out if we want more MF and don't really care as much about damage. This is definitely a swap out that I like to do if I just want to max out my magic find, even on this main build. If you're doing traveling cool, of course, you're going to want as much MF as possible. And one thing to know is that any MF or gold find on the mercenary, if he is the one that finishes off the monster and deals the last hit, the killing blow, his MF or gold find will stack on top of yours. So your MF will count and his MF will count, which is one reason why I had him wearing gold wrap as well when we were doing that as well, because it's got attack speed and it's got magic find. And so all that stuff in general is pretty solid. Heck, he even has magic find on this right now. A lot of this gear I do plan on converting into a Warcry barb. Sorry, not Warcry. I'm actually going to convert this build to a Whirlwind barb as well. You might have an idea as to what weapon we're going to use, because we already have that on the mercenary. That weapon is definitely not needed. You have something with less sockets, you could have it on ethereal, as long as you're hitting a really high attack speed breakpoint, at least 75. 142, of course, I think is where the real fun is at.
No one does food like Puerto Rico. Whether it's a chef tasting menu or a local favorite spot with no sign above the door. You'll taste the influence of Spanish, African, and native Taino traditions. Not to mention the passion that we put in every bite. Sometimes all in the same dish.
Indeed. And of course, one thing I forgot to mention was that Grimoire, just one point into that, can make your mercenary a lot stronger for killing those bosses. I may have mentioned that actually. When it comes to gunning down those bosses, absolute shredding them with no problem whatsoever. Alright, so that was a lot we went over for sure. Definitely went over a lot of gear stuff in general. Of course, Skillers, Porch, Annie, Res, MF, Life, faster hit recovery in some cases might be very useful. I definitely recommend if there's negative hit recovery to at least not go negative on the map, so make sure you have enough not to be negative. Otherwise, definitely be a problem in maps to some degree. Definitely feel negative hit recovery does not feel good, so and make sure you can at least counter that at the very least. Alright, so that's pretty much it for going over all of the specifics. That's a lot to definitely take in, but I hope you guys learned a lot more about the Warcry Barbarian and how it operates. So we're going to be playing 105 FCR hardcore version of this build, where we have really high DR, and we have a decent amount of plus skills. So we're going to demo him in various maps here, so to show you guys what he's really, truly capable of. And of course, I think actually... we might decide to do. Let's see which one would be good for this, or at least halfway decent. Yeah, that could do it. Yeah, we'll do a fortification demo on it. That could be kind of interesting. Yeah, so this is the Door of Fortification in Season 6 demo.
Not enough mana.
We're going to start with a Tier 1 map. This is one of his best Tier 1 maps, which is where we're going to do it. One thing I note about this build is because it's physical node, it's based on nothing better than a physical node bombard. One thing to note is that physical node bombard has very few weaknesses. Even in immune to physical monster maps, you can still install the monsters, except for like a stun single that is also physical. And so, even in some of his worst maps, he can still clear them. Pretty effective. You can't really say the same for most other builds in the game. This is because he's physical damage, but easy physical damage, is insanely high level. Because it's just a synergy for his main skill, so his negative physical res is insanely high there. He has more negative physical res with a very high level amplify damage. And if you used Brimstone Raiders, Underglow option, I forgot to mention, is Soul Raiders, which is negative enemy physical res as well. So, negative physical res there, perhaps some Brimstone Raid. It'll also give you an insane amount of negative physical res. You really just crush any monster you have with this sort of as well. So what's interesting is, Skill is actually nerfed in Season 6. What we're about to see here is a nerfed Warcry Barb, but it's still insanely strong. And has no weaknesses whatsoever. First, before we actually go into the maps, let's just show you guys what we can do in a couple of LOD content areas. Now, this is a more budget version. We described all it really takes to do trap on a budget to some good extent. The truth is, once this build gets to maximum power, it's absolutely flatlined. And of course, if you have Find Item, which you should have, trap work, you should have really high level, maybe 55 to 60 with the help of Find Potion. As a synergy, you should just roll all these up. Bam. So as you can see, insanely high damage, and that's not even the highest damage we can go. We can definitely get that 20 of Sierra Grandfather, like I said. We're actually using beads right now just to show you, because we're about to demo a Tier 1 map, and we're demoing LOD areas. It's really crazy stuff, just a bit.
A good mount like Jersey, this lightweight, breathable fabric that also happens to be nice and durable. Look like a Power Ranger. That's has a little pocket so you can tuck your $20 bill or driver's license or a key in there. Microfiber wipe as well for your phone or your glasses, and just good and comfortable. We made a really nice one. We repair them for free for life, with their lifetime guarantee. Check the link below to see them.
Yeah, David. Hey, you ready? We'll also do chaos as well.
At your service.
We'll also do downwards. So this is how it works. You just teleport on Enigma, teleport in the middle, Warcry, Outcry before Warcry if you want maximum damage. Sometimes you don't really feel like you need that. Yeah, this is very loud. There is a way to see the sound file. Sound file on this character. So if you keep that in mind. Just remove the sound file. This really annoys you. Gravity doesn't really annoy me too much, but you can just tune it out. Listen to something else if you want. Ready? Alright. It's pretty solid stuff. So notice that you don't really have to rely on the Enigma to pretty much automatically. So you just get right in there on the safe zone. Well, can't really do much to it. It's going to take you just definitely overloading content. This build is meant to absolutely just slam your free maps. It's meant to take them out and destroy them. This guy is definitely a heavy hitter. Still in the tanks, definitely. Also getting destroyed. As you can see, that grass gets flat. The best LOD farms, of course, besides Travancore. Travancore is by far the best LOD farm. It has very low levels of gear. As I've described earlier, that's how I did it. So I found it without even any gear. Wow. Low holy bull handed Leslie. Just put that in there for now. Then we'll also kill Bale and Bowie, so we're going to raise the level and demo Bale. Because we don't have to fear souls because our light res is so stacked, and so is our cool res and our fire res. So even if they have a chance, they're not really going to be able to kill us.
Stay
It's
a
really
while.
the point here.
Listen.
I don't have to fear conviction at all. One thing to note here, we can also use the Oak Sage charges from the photo, and we can bind that to a key as well. We recommend having the other key though, so that you can just seamlessly transition to using Battle Cry and then Work Cry, or just Work Cry. Depending on how much HP the monsters have. The monsters are very tanky. Oh wow. The hulls are still insane. Dang, okay. One thing to note is that our mercenary dying is a very rare event. This is one reason, of course, you don't have to maps, because you sit directly on top of the monsters. So it's very inconvenient. You're gonna have to move every time the dolls appear, so it's not really the best type of a map to do it, so it's harder, but as you can see, the dolls are totally capable of mercenary still. So one reason I want to demo this is because of how funny it is to watch him sit on top Rooney. This character's sketchy. As you can see, the combination of both battle cry and amp. Bill doesn't have a lot of physical res. He's even dying pretty fast with myself mercenary. Merc has some crushing blow too, but also that's very good for level 4 bosses. This character is definitely made for bigger, better things. You definitely know the idea thing is geared out. Is this monster reality content? Not even close. And even double spirit will do the job. And also get your skills up and also do some damage at least to the council members while the mercenary does supposed to be. So what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna go into some this is the tier 1 map. This tier 1 map is very effective. It's very open. It takes advantage of the strengths. I'll show you of course how map works in this character. So monsters will still do a decent amount of damage too. As you can see, you jump directly into the middle of them.
All my favorites for just $7 each. That's crazy. Crazy.
Seeing sevens? It's a sign to order from Pizza Hut's $7 deal lovers menu.
And unlike some characters, you don't have summons. All you have is your mercenary to protect you, which is why I really like the shield approach, especially on hardcore. But on softcore, if you have enough LPK and MPK, just like a Nova Sork, it plays a lot like a Nova Sork, and it can sustain a lot like a Nova Sork. Whereas in this case, so you focus more on just pure defensive power and self-sustain. And high MF and high plus skills. Right now we don't actually have our 50% DR, we have 46. It's because we don't have the rack on currently with the DR. As you can see, he moves to this map so fast. Consider Phlegethon is best tier 1, but once again, doing this mini-map. Virtually every tier 1 with an effector, even Bash and Keep, which has physical immunities, is no problem. As you get to the tier 2 and tier 3 physical immunity maps, however, it starts to look like this is more difficult, and that's when you probably want to stop attempting to do them. But he's pretty insane, and as you can see, he's basically like a team here in the circle. As he plays regular lightning in the circle,
enhanced damage. Max deadly enhanced. Oh, maximum deadly strike.
See, it's really fast when you just build like this. You can also use find item on the elites within the maps if you want, which might even be a better approach for fortified because there's not as many monsters. But it's also just a really good approach to have a ton of damage. And I would actually say this is probably better. If you're doing Travancore, council member working is just so effective. Maybe it won't be in future seasons, you never know. Maybe they'll get sick of trapping the ultimate meta for barb farming in the beginning. But if they don't, trap will always be good. That being said, it might be hard for barbs to farm themselves up compared to other classes if trap isn't as strong as it is now, because it's pretty much the only reliable area that a barb can utilize.
Now offer.
Especially not the nerf double throw and a couple other abilities.
Leave offer.
Whirlwind is also insane now,
charge.
which hopefully we can also make a guide video for Whirlwind as well. On hardcore nonetheless. I'm sure you guys how that also works. But as you can see, it's not like we're lacking for damage, so even though in software you can get more damage easier without necessarily worrying about ever dying, it's not like you necessarily need so much more damage, it just does so much damage to begin with. Once again, this is synergy nerf to work rise, so the POW and battle cry synergies went down from 18 to 15%. Doesn't feel very nerfed, honestly. Sometimes when something feels nerfed, you know, it doesn't feel good anymore. It's definitely not the case. You'll be false on that front. So we went through all the way through this map, but as you can see, you know, he's a gangbusters, he's Rambo, he pretty much just jumps into stuff and kills it. It's really fun to just go right in the middle of the monsters, even on hardcore, smash them with no difficulty. Now I can put down Grimoire there for the boss, and the Berg is attacking at crazy speeds. And he has 9,500 damage per hit. On the maximum, at least. And absolutely smashed that map. You can time that yourself, but as you can see, under 10-minute maps are very easy for this character to do, which is why he's ranked so highly. Of course, with even more damage on the software, you can see that once he's competing with the top builds and the top amounts of damage, he's totally capable of doing so with even more plus skills than 50 or near 50 and other ones. Alright, so for some other maps, let's go show off some other maps as well. This build is definitely one of the strongest builds I've ever shown off in terms of a showcase. This is very good stuff. Alright, so now we have some other maps that we can show off here as well. Let's go show off our... Okay, yeah, let's go show off Royal Crypts. This is a tier 2, so we're going up. I consider this one of his better tier 2s. It used to have physical immunes, it no longer does. My filter, people always ask about my filter. My filter is the ADEV DH1 in the launcher. My filter will always show you the immunities on the maps, and of course will show you all the relevant bases for pretty much anything you'd ever want to make. And it's really clean looking as well. Check out ADEV DH filter. You can also pull it up with an exclamation filter in my Twitch. Dark Humility. Alright. So yeah, as you can see, battle cry is doing work, as you can see. Once we go up to a tier 2 map, you can really see how, even with a pretty solid amount of damage, you can definitely make more use of this. I'm actually going to still use the MF rack here, but I'm actually going to swap out for more damage now that we're in a tier 2. I just want as much damage as possible.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Bobby. What's up,
So
Baba?
physical Nova is best
Hey, bud. Hey, bud. What you doing?
harmonic.
What you doing? Bud.
It's got
Hey,
your
buddy.
battle
What
cry
you
and
doing?
on some monsters. Some stone skin monsters
What you doing?
need that treatment. But in a physical immune monster
What you
map,
doing,
if they
Charlie?
have stone skin, you will
Huh?
be
You want some hard of me?
unfortunately.
You come here. You come here.
This one, they aren't physical immune, they just have high physical res, so. Which is why we're increasing our damage for this map as well. But as you can see, tier 2 map getting absolutely smushed. I ran out of Enigma charges there and didn't realize it. Nothing recommend to keeping track of that for sure.
Lord.
Look at how we just jump in here. All that amp and Fanat. No cares in the world, even though I'm hardcore. This is a hardcore barb. It's always cool. Emphasize just like how safe this character is just in general. How to utilize it effectively. I'll pick up some maps, of course. There's definitely some really crazy auras going on. Still not very dangerous, as you can see. You know, might lose like 1,000 life from something like dual aura and whatnot, but not the end of the world. You just gotta sometimes keep track of your teleport charges. Make sure you use leap here and there. It's definitely, you know, leap it to some of the easier packs to kill so that you don't need
Alright, I gotta
mercenary.
get